The most important features and ways of life of the baby octopus, how it eats food and ways to care for it. Well, what can we say about the baby octopus? How does it eat food? What are the most important features? What are the ways of life? And what are the most common questions that people ask us when they have a baby octopus at home? That's what we're going to be talking about in today's episode. So let's get started. The first thing that you need to know about the baby octopus is that they come into your tank really small, like 2 inches or 5 centimeters. So don't worry if you think they're too small because they're actually the right size. They just look tiny to you. They'll grow up to be between 6 and 8 inches, so still fairly small. Now, there's 2 main things that you need to know about the baby octopus. Its diet and its tank conditions. Those are the most important features, and everything else will come from those 2 things. Now, the diet of a baby octopus, as with all cephalopods, is live food. They do not do well on frozen foods at all. If you try to feed them frozen foods, they just won't eat. Now, there are some exceptions to this rule. There are certain frozen foods that you can give to adult octopuses, but for babies, no, it's got to be live. Now, their favorite live foods are mysis shrimp and baby brine shrimp. These are super easy to get online or at your local fish store. You just want to make sure that it's live, and you'll see the difference once you get it. You'll see a bunch of little specks moving around, and that's exactly what you want. Once it's in your tank, you're going to see your octopus go crazy. Now, the way that you should be feeding your baby octopus is to turn off the lights in your room and then turn on the light in your tank and just kind of shine that on the food. That makes it easier for them to see and find. And once they start to get used to seeing food, they'll start hunting and finding it on their own. But while they're young, it's best to make it easy for them. This is also the best way to make sure that they're eating enough, because if you just scatter the food around the tank, they might not be able to find all of it. And you want to make sure that they're getting enough food so that they're growing properly. Now, if you're wondering why your baby octopus isn't eating, the first thing to check is to make sure that the food is actually alive. They only eat live food. So if you got something that was frozen and then thawed out, then sorry, they're not going to eat that. Also, make sure that the water temperature is right. Baby octopuses thrive at around 72 degrees Fahrenheit or 22 degrees Celsius. So if it's any colder than that, then they're not going to be active. Now, another reason that they might not be eating is because they recently ate already. Octopuses actually only need to eat every 3 to 4 days, which is a lot less than other animals. So if you just fed them, and it was a lot of food, then they're probably not going to want to eat anymore. And lastly, they could just be stressed out. Just give them a couple of days to adjust, and then they'll probably start eating again. So now that we talked about how to feed them, let's talk about how to take care of a baby octopus. First off, the tank itself. A baby octopus doesn't need a big tank. In fact, the bigger the tank, the more water changes you'll have to do, and the harder it will be to maintain. So a 5-gallon or 19-liter tank is plenty of room for a baby octopus. Now, you'll need to put a lid on this tank because baby octopuses are known to escape even from small enclosures. Now, one of the things that you should never use is a false bottom. Some people use these in their tanks, and it's fine for most animals, but octopuses need to be able to sift through the substrate to look for food. So you don't want to have a false bottom. Next, the substrate itself. You want to use a fine-grained substrate like crushed coral or aragonite sand. You don't want anything big that they can get stuck in or hurt themselves on. And if you use a gravel substrate, you need to cover it with something like play sand so that they can't get hurt. Another thing that they like is to hide in little cracks and crevices. So adding some of these things to your tank, like a piece of driftwood with a hole in it, or maybe a rock with a cave in it, gives them places to hide and feel safe. The next thing that you need to know is that baby octopuses are very sensitive to copper. Copper in any form is toxic to octopuses. So if you're using a copper-based medication, that will kill them. Also, don't clean your tank with any chemicals. Make sure that if you're scrubbing algae off the glass, that you're using a plastic scraper and not a metal one, because the copper in the metal will kill them. Another thing that you shouldn't use is a protein skimmer. These things are great for most saltwater tanks, but they're deadly for octopuses. The air bubbles that it creates will suffocate your octopus. Lastly, you don't want to add anything to your tank that hasn't been fully cured or cycled. The bacteria colonies that are in these items will release ammonia, and that will poison your octopus. Only add cured or cycled items to your tank. Next, water changes. You'll want to do a 20% water change every week or so. So make sure that whatever water you're adding to your tank has been treated with the same salt mix that you mixed in your tank. But don't ever add tap water or distilled water. You want to use salt water. This is actually an advantage to having a smaller tank, because it doesn't take much water to do these water changes. You'll only need to remove and replace around a gallon a week or so. And finally, the protein skimming issue. Baby octopuses waste a lot of protein into their tank, and since they're so small, it builds up really fast. So you'll need to do frequent water changes to keep up with it. Now, if you don't do water changes frequently, then you'll end up with ammonia and nitrite spikes. Ammonia and nitrites are very harmful to fish and invertebrates, and you don't want your baby octopus to be exposed to that. So make sure that you're testing your water weekly and doing water changes accordingly. Now, here are some additional tips. We recommend that you add a few rocks to your tank that are coated with macroalgae. This will help increase the dissolved oxygen in the tank and make it easier for your octopus to breathe. Another thing that helps is a protein skimmer, but you can't use it until the octopus is full grown. As I said before, it will suck in all the air bubbles and kill the octopus. So wait until it's full grown, and then add that protein skimmer to help with the ammonia. Another question we get asked a lot is, will my octopus kill my other animals in the tank? The answer to this is yes and no. No, they won't kill fish because they're not aggressive. They're actually pretty shy. They get plagued. But they will kill snails, crabs, and shrimp because they're predators. They eat meat. So if you have other meat eaters in your tank with the octopus, they might fight. So just keep that in mind. One last question we get asked is, how long do baby octopuses live? They usually live about a year, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. It just depends on how well you're taking care of them. But a year is a good amount of time to keep an octopus. Just enjoy it while it lasts. Now, there are lots of things that you can do to keep your baby octopus happy and healthy. Just remember the main things. Live food every 3 to 4 days, clean water, and a safe environment. If you can do those things, then your baby octopus will be happy. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. We have a ton of videos on all kinds of different topics, including a ton of videos on the baby octopus, like how to sex them, how to tell if they're male or female, how to breed them, what their different behaviors are. So check out our other videos. Thanks for watching.